Radio 1041, 1230 a.m. We've got a special guest here in the studio for Party Line. We've got interim CEO, Mr. David Zechman from Mary Lanning Healthcare. I got to say a big thank you for coming in today. Appreciate it.
Well, thank you. I'm glad to be here. Good morning.
So welcome and congratulations on your new role. How's the transition into the position been so far for you, Dave?
Well, I have to say it's been very enjoyable. I've been having a good time being here. I really like the community a lot, but most of all, I really enjoy the hospital. I enjoy the people that work there, their dedication, their commitment. And by the way, it's got, as you know well, it has a really wonderful history that people love to talk about. And I really enjoy history, and I love hearing about it.
Mary Lanning is a very special part of history here to Hastings, to be sure. What initially drew you to Mary Lanning Healthcare?
Well, it's interesting, you know, like things happen in life, and I received a call one day from somebody I worked with 30 years ago in Kansas City who said, there might be an opportunity as the interim CEO in Hastings, Nebraska at Mary Lanning. Would you be interested? And I said, well, sure, I'll take a look at it. And then the more we talked, the more I became interested, and here I am.
So as interim CEO, what are your top priorities in looking at the organization right now?
Well, the number one thing is obviously I'm trying to work through the transition. Whenever there's a change in senior leadership, there's always a little bit of uncertainty among the employees and the medical staff. So that's the first thing. And I think we're doing great work with that. Second is obviously trying to stabilize the finances going forward. We're working on the 2026 budget for next year. And the third thing is stabilizing and rebuilding our cardiology program.
Specific goals you have, or focus areas you want to hammer in on in your first 100 days?
Well, the first thing is that I'm trying to create a greater level of accountability, greater level of transparency, positive communication. I send a daily email to all the employees that includes a little inspiration, and if you believe this or not, a corny joke. And I know they love that corny joke, I have to tell you. So just to create that feeling of that people do care about them. So that's been a big priority. And then the second thing, of course, is digging into the looking at a revenue generation opportunities. We do a pretty good job of managing expenses there. Everybody can do better, and we can do better. But the fact of the matter is, we really need to grow revenue as we move forward in terms of our financial stabilization.
Some folks may look at things and see challenges. Some folks see challenges as opportunities. What are some of those that lie ahead for you at Mary Lanning?
Well, you're right. I mean, I think challenges are opportunities, and it's hard to differentiate the two. So I think moving forward, the things I mentioned earlier, and I love one of the things I'm having a ball here doing is that I love leading. I love the opportunity to be with people, to be with healthcare professionals, to be with dedicated folks that we have here. So that's not a challenge, and really it's not an opportunity, but it's great. We're doing great. I love it.
What's one or two of the big things that's really stuck out to you about your time at Mary Lanning so far, about your team and about the folks that work there?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, one of the things that stands out is the history, and the people are very proud of the history here. I can't tell you how many people I've met who either was born in a hospital, their parents were born in a hospital, their grandparents were born in a hospital, and it's an amazing, and they're proud of that history. They're very proud of the hospital, and they really want the hospital to remain independent as is going forward, and they're very dedicated to that. The second part is I've been very impressed with their dedication and commitment to doing the best they possibly can in terms of delivering high quality, safe patient care. And we're constantly looking at ways to even make that even better.
And we're joined here again in studio, a conversation with the interim CEO, Mr. Dave Zechman for Mary Lanning Healthcare. Got to ask you, you've got an extensive career in healthcare leadership. And if I wanted to spell all this out for you, it'd probably take 10 or 12 minutes here. But what made you enter the field when you first started?
Well, and probably nobody knows this, so this is the first time people are hearing this personal story. I will tell you. Back in 1981, my firstborn son died of a rare form of muscular dystrophy called Werning-Hoffman syndrome. And today it's called spinal muscular atrophy. And that really was my introduction to healthcare, because the people we worked with, the doctors and nurses at the time, it was a very heartbreaking time for myself and my wife, but they were so kind and compassionate and provided great care. And I think I had never thought about healthcare, going into healthcare, because I was a teacher at the time, and that sort of moved me in the direction of being in healthcare, saying, well, you know what, maybe I can help others too. So that's how I started.
Life experiences shape us, and I got to imagine that shaped your career and your decision making and how you're approaching things that hit your desk.
It did. As I said, I can never forget the interactions we had with the doctors. Sometimes my interactions with the docs weren't very good. I will tell you. I'll be honest. But it also helped see how these people really cared and made a difference in our lives going forward after that.
And you brought this up too. Kindness, compassion. Those are the cornerstones of healthcare, along with quality and safety. And obviously, it means something to you in a very personable way, to you and your family. But that means something to a lot of folks who are entering the doors at Mary Lanning. This may be the worst day of their life.
It does. I have this old saying, nobody goes to the hospital for fun. Okay, they go because they're sick or they're ill. And when people come to the hospital, they're worried, they're stressed, they're scared. And we have a moral obligation and responsibility to help them through that difficult time. And whether you have cancer, or whether you have a broken bone or whatever, we will take care of you for that.
Well, you definitely are going to see how those values are going to influence your leadership style and the way you plan to guide Mary Lanning Healthcare going forward. What does success look like for you, Dave, and the organization under your leadership?
Well, I think the success going forward is my overall goal is to really prepare the way for the new CEO, so that new CEO comes in whenever that is next year and hits the ground running and can really work hard and taking the organization to the next level. So that's my overall goal.
I want to ask you a question. It's kind of a weird spot to be put in, to be asked to be the interim. I mean, you're coming in, you're knowing that you're here temporarily. Does that make your time here even that much more important as you're transitioning between one spot to the next?
Well, that's a great question. Yeah, I do think it is really important. I told the board that I'm here. I'm going to really work here. Okay, I'm not going to be a placeholder and just kind of keep things going. I'm going to come in here and we're going to and really make a difference going forward. And the board, and I have to comment on the board. This board is one of the most dedicated, loyal, hardworking boards I've ever worked with in my career. These folks are volunteers. They give up their time and they are always available. They care deeply about the hospital, deeply. So this community is very blessed to have a board like this. And the board has told me, they said, Dave, you're it. Do what you have to do. Let's get us going.
It's got to feel good to have that kind of trust.
Absolutely.
What message, Dave, and again, we're joined here, interim CEO, Mr. Dave Zechman from Mary Lanning Healthcare. Final question for you. What message would you like to share with the folks here, Hastings community, and patients who trust Mary Lanning for their care?
Well, I'll say this, we are going to do our very, very best to the best of our abilities to continue to provide high quality, safe healthcare for you and your families, and we're going to do it in a kind and compassionate way.
All right, we're joined here in studio with interim CEO, Mr. Dave Zechman from Mary Lanning Healthcare. Got to say a big thank you for taking time to be with us today.
Well, thanks, I'm delighted to be here, and I'm delighted to have the opportunity to brag about the hospital, so glad to be here.
And again, we've got interim CEO, Mr. Dave Zechman here in studio. Mary Lanning Healthcare, KHAS Radio, 104.1, 1230 AM. We'll take your calls next at